All right, so we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Twitter, live on Instagram. I'm telling you, I got some good news. Not hype, so I hopefully this doesn't come across as hype because that's not my intent. I have something I just need to share with you always about freestyle. As you know, it's currently a WW coach. Happy to do that. Love doing that. Very proud of that work that we do. The meeting room that I lead, 2 of them a week, incredible people, and we work together to figure this whole thing out. My meeting tonight was, I think, one of the best meetings, workshops, whatever you want to call it, the best workshop I've had in a very, very, very long time. So sound check, make sure, can you guys hear me on YouTube? I think you can. Can you hear me on Facebook? I think you can. I think you obviously Instagram, you certainly can. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear. Just want to make sure before I tell you the coolest thing ever. I promise you, and then I'll let you go. It'll be 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're out of here. It's that important. Lindsay says it was a great meeting, so I agree. So, all right, here's the deal. I just need to see, come on, Facebook. Tell me, someone on Facebook, tell me you can hear me. That's all I want to know. Okay, Jennifer says yes. All right, here we go. So, freestyle, right? So many of us, you guys have seen the post, you've seen the comments, you've seen the struggles about freestyle. Here is what we figured out in my workshop tonight that I want to share with you. I can't make the audio much louder. Let me see if that helps a little bit. Hopefully the audio a little bit helps for you there. All right, so here's the deal with freestyle. When you started this process, when you joined, we gave you a bank of points, correct? So, and that point value was based on how much you currently weighed, your age, and your gender, right? So those 3 things can determine how many points you got per day. It determined your weekly points, and then that was how you set course for this program. So what happens is, as you continue to rock the program, so you wake up in the morning, you wake up on fire, and you start tracking your food. You put everything in, you do the math, and everything's working, you start losing weight. We know that, right? The WW lawyers allow us to say that members following the plan can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. That's kind of what they allow us to say. So if you think about that for a second, members following the plan, and so you're rocking this, following the plan, and you're losing weight. And so many people on freestyle had instant success, right? So you start losing weight, And these are, I'm talking about from the day you joined. From the day you joined, you locked in because you completely changed your eating habits, right? You added in some 0-point eggs, you added in some 0-point fruit, things that you hadn't been eating before, you added them in. And so a lot of us, we talk about, well, I don't know, if I knew when to stop eating, I would just, obviously I would have been fine. And so the 0-point foods get us in trouble. Tonight at my workshop, as we were bouncing around and talking about, this is what I came up with, and I'm shaking because I'm actually that excited to share it with you. So you start having success on the program, and what happens? The number one complaint in the meeting room is, right, when you come in and you're doing well, and you're rocking it, and you're doing well, what happens is we start taking away some of your points, right? And everyone complains about it. Oh, I lost another point this week. Oh, my weeklies went down, right? When you lost 7 weeklies, you would forget that it was because of the success that you're having, because now your body needs less calories because your body isn't as big as it was when you started. So think about this scenario. You start, you make the transition. You add in your 0-point eggs. You add in your fruit here and there. You add in, fruit for lunch, fruit for dinner. You add in salad. And so you start having success. Then you start losing points. But nowhere in this process does your brain say, I need to cut back on the 0-point items. So a typical day, if you started the day with 2 eggs and a piece of fruit, and you had a piece of fruit for lunch, and you had a piece or 2 for fruit for dinner, and 0-point, and that was working for you, then you start having success roughly, and it's not scientific, but roughly about every 10 pounds you lose, you end up losing a point. After a few of those, you would lose your weeklies. So if you started this journey and you switched to freestyle quickly, and then all of a sudden you're having success, and then that plateau comes, you're still eating the same amount of 0-point foods, and you didn't make the adjustment to reduce the amount of food that your body needs. When you lost points, you had to make that reduction. Does that make sense? So as you lost points, you would say, okay, well, you know what? I just lost my weekly, so therefore I need to now take my coffee creamer out. Or, hey, I just lost a point this week, so you know what? I'll take one less bite of this or whatever. So as you were having success, you forced yourself to eat less because you had less points. But as the 0-point items were there, we didn't ever reduce that. There is no formula to reduce your intake on 0-point foods. So hopefully that makes sense. And that's what I figured out today. So what you need to do is you have to now assess where you are in your journey. If you are in a plateau stage and all of a sudden, freestyle started working for you and then all of a sudden it didn't start working for you, I'm going to go with that the amount of 0-point foods that you're eating is very similar to the amount of 0-point foods that you were eating when you started the journey. And now you need to make that adjustment and you need to reduce them equivalent to the amount of body weight that you've lost. The whole program, starts off. You guys see this, right? When you're in the meeting room, it's one of the things we talk about. Like, when someone says, "Oh, I get 40 points a day," we go, "Oh my goodness, lucky you." And then that person slowly goes from 40 down to and all of a sudden that person settles down at 23 points. Because they're closer to goal and they're rocking the program. But if that person who started with 30, 40 points a day, and they started their day with 2 eggs, 2 bananas, had 2 oranges for lunch and 2 apples for dinner, is still doing that when they're only allotted 23 points, that's the overeating piece. And you think and you're happy to say that, oh my God, I'm following the program well. But that caloric intake that you're using on the 0-point foods is the same caloric intake you were using from day one that got you to success. As your body got smaller, you need less calories. We certainly know that. And you need to now make the adjustment to less 0-point foods. And you're going to have to do that manually. This is where the hard work comes in. You're going to have to make the assessment of, okay, when I started, I was 3 eggs and 2 bananas for breakfast. At some point, you can't continue to do that. So you're going to have to, every 5, 10, 15 pounds, you're going to have to assess how many 0-point foods you're eating, and then you're going to have to make a reduction. So does that make sense? That's what I figured out today. We talked about it in my workshop tonight. It was probably one of the better workshops we've had in a long time. We had a blast this evening. I don't want to share too many details with that. But it was absolutely incredible to do that. So yes, Twitter is asking if this is live. It of course is live. So thank you for doing that. So that's what I have. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, I'll stick around to answer them. Otherwise, I kind of get out of here. But I wanted to make sure that makes sense. Is that as we are reducing, again, think about it. I'll reiterate it. We lose points for a reason. We lose points because our body is smaller and our body needs less energy. And so you start the program doing well, you start having success, the program weans you off of higher points and you start reducing your points, but nowhere in the freestyle guidelines yet does it reduce the amount of 0-point items that you have. Now we know that the amount of 0-point items that you have, right? They're 0 points for a reason because generally they're foods that people don't tend to overeat. But we know, some of us know that I can overeat chicken like the best of them. So I now need to figure out, okay, if I was eating 2 chicken breasts a day, let's just say, as an example, and then started losing weight and having success, at some point, 2 chicken breasts a day is still too much food because my body is smaller and requires less food. So I need to now make my own evaluation and go, okay, 2 a day, not going to work. Let's cut down to 1. I don't know where the lines are. I don't know where you're going to I don't know where you're going to be able to say, where do you make the adjustment? But that's something you're going to have to figure out. And so, I talked to a lot of folks who go through this program, and I talked to an individual today, or yesterday actually. I talked to an individual, and their breakfast starts with 3 eggs and 2 bananas, and then lunch is 2 oranges, and then dinner is 2 apples plus a lot of other food. And this person has a lot of points because they're just now starting their journey. And this person is doing very, very, very well and having great success, but now they're stalled. and they're eating the same quantity of 0-point items that they had on day 1, and they're many, 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 many months into their journey with great success. That's what I have. So hopefully it was worth your effort. Thanks for checking in. Like I said, I'll stick around now and answer any questions you have, and then we'll wrap this up. But I wanted to get that out there. I believe it is. I believe it's the piece that's missing for so many of us. So interested in your feedback to see if you agree with that. I see a couple comments on Instagram says makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that. Renee says she's online only. Makes sense. So cool. Cool beans. And beans are 0 points too, so that works out well. So let's see. I'm just going to see if I can catch up on some of the comments. Marie checks in from Disney World. Janice is here from Bloomington. Karen from Long Island. Good evening to you. Let's see. Westerville, Ohio. Karen checks in. Let's see who else is here. Deb says, I weigh and measure everything. 0-point foods, only 3 a day. Dolly says, I joined late and I missed it. Give us lunch ideas, says Lou. Dolly, real quick, you can go back and rewatch it, but the concept is when you were losing weight, you were losing points, but you now have to adjust for losing quantity of 0-point items. If you were eating the same amount of 0-point items that you were at the start of your journey, that you're at in the middle of your journey, that's where a plateau will come in. So go ahead and rewatch this video. It'll stay it'll stay on Facebook, it'll stay on Twitter, it'll stay on YouTube, so you can always search for this. But Natia says, totally agree, but how do we figure out how many to have? That piece I don't have an answer for yet. I'm still working on that piece, right? Some people double track. Not a super big fan of that, but I get it. But what I want you to understand is that you can do that. Just look at the quantity of what you were eating when you started, and then slowly reduce that quantity as you're losing weight. I found during my journey, roughly every 10 pounds or so was a point. And so the ballpark, real rough ballpark, there's no math behind that. But what happens is so if you're overeating initially on 0-point foods, but what happened is the initial switch from a bunch of crappy food to a bunch of 0-point foods is good for your body. So your body rewarded you with the weight loss. Then, as you started weighing less and having a smaller body, you were giving it the same quantity of 0-point foods, and you didn't make the adjustment. Back in the old plan of points plus, you would lose points. So it forced you to then make decisions on, okay, I need to now cut my portions in half in order to fit in all the points. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I went from somewhere like 46 points a day down to like 28 or something along that. So as that transition was happening, I had to adjust along the way, and that's where I went from, my lunch went from, Chick-fil-A with fries to Chick-fil-A with fruit, because I no longer had 7 extra points a day for a thing of French fries. I certainly did. I certainly had it in when I started the journey, but as I got closer to goal, I didn't have that in my points budget. So anyway, that's what I figured out. So Susie, good to see you. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. The 0-point food is a mess because so many of us on this journey, we get struggle with how many, how much of this can we have, and 0 does not mean 0. It certainly doesn't mean 0 in the caloric input. But this, I think this will help so many people at least get to the point where we at least now understand why it is. If you're stuck on a 30-pound weight loss and you're in a plateau, or more pound weight loss and you're on a plateau, look at the 0-point items and compare to what you were eating when you started. And my guess is that you're eating similar or more than when you started, and you actually need to wean yourself off of some of those of the sheer quantity of 0-point items. So, whew. There we go. So yeah, and so I'm trying to catch up on your comments. So I can't read all of them, but emotional eaters are not okay on this plan. So Casey, I agree with you. Emotional eaters, a different conversation for emotional eaters, right? Especially, if you're an emotional eater, then 0 points is just as dangerous as anything else. So, but I agree. Lindsay says you can have too much of a good thing. I agree with that. But here now at least gives you something to work on, right? And that's kind of what I was after, is giving you something to go, okay, again, we know that, you can't have, 4 eggs for breakfast, 2 bananas for lunch, 2 oranges for dinner, and that's too much fruit in a single day, but it may have worked when you started. And so you now need to figure out how to slowly back that quantity down, just like they would have had your points reduced and you would have backed down on the food side. So Martha says, I read yesterday from Mindy Grossman that a new plan is coming next year. I had heard that rumor as well. I don't know anything more about it, but I did hear that as well. But I don't know. I don't have it. I'm not in that loop by any stretch, any means. So Ronaldo says something to ponder. I agree. Anna says makes so much sense. So that's what I have. I really just wanted to pop in today and share that with you. I'll put it in the app. I keep reiterating it over and over and over again, but I was excited to come here and tell you guys all about it because we figured it out in my room tonight, and it was so much fun. So cool. Jay Jarrett says, I love the smart points so much better. Not a fan of freestyle, but you make a lot of sense with this topic. Thank you. And right, so that's the only intent with this. I'm with you. I like the old plan better as well. It worked well for me. I'm trying very hard to make this one work for me as well. And I think this is a missing link for so many of us. Is 0 is not 0, but we don't know how to account for it. So we just now need to take into consideration that as we are getting smaller, congratulations, by the way, as we are getting smaller, we need less food. And so therefore we on our own accord need to say, okay, I need to reduce something in the 0 point range to give it works. So, whew. I hope that works. Lizzie says, best day of the week. Luis says, I think you're onto something. Yeah, and Georgine says, I think this is why so many people are trying to double track points and calories. I agree with that, right? But now if you're double tracking points and calories, what do you cut out? And so a lot of us, when we're double tracking points and calories, if we have food addictions, we're going to cut out the healthy stuff, and we're going to reward ourselves with the things that we used to love and like. When you lost points, you had to make that hard decision. That's where I came up with when you're out of points, stop eating points, right? There was a hard, fast rule of if I only had 30 points in a day, I had to figure out what I could eat within a 30-point budget to satisfy me. So now, with the addition of 0 point foods, I can still have those 30 points plus the 0. But if I'm overeating on the 0, and then still having there's no hard and fast limit. So anyway, whew, Dina, I'm telling you, I can't. I don't know how to articulate this, which is why I decided to come live on all these platforms, was because I didn't know how to type it, but I wanted to share it. Susie says, but I want the old plan back. I want the old plan back. Susie, I hope I see you this weekend in New York. I want to give you another big hug because you're awesome. So cool. All right. On that note, Terry says you're wicked smart. Yes, sir. Terry, did that make sense? Terry's my leader, by the way. Or coach, whatever you want to call her. But I think, Terry, were you here the whole time? Because I think it's a big deal. I really do. I think, think about it. Like when you start, you get a bank of points, and then, there are people who join, right? And you guys have heard this. There are people who start this journey, as probably more of them are men, but they go, I get so many points, I can't eat them all, right? You've heard that. You've heard people say that, and you want to smack them when they do, but you've heard it. And so what that means is they started eating healthy. And so therefore, generally speaking, the amount of points you had, you were eating them anyways before you joined. And so now that you've joined, you've made healthier choices, and now you can't eat all of your points. But you're now found, but you're over, you're doing well. And then as you lose weight, you lose points and settle in. I think we all settle in around the same, number when we get to goal, right? Within a couple points, everyone at goal has the same amount of point value. So, but now if you started with 40 points and you're going to get down to 23 points and you're eating the same quantity of 0 point foods at 23 points as you were eating at 40 points, it's not going to work. Justin says, preach. Yeah, I'm preaching. So, and like I said, I didn't know how to articulate it in a text, so that's why it's in a video format. I appreciate all of you joining me at this point. So, Whew. That's my news. That's what I have. We can certainly, I saw a couple of your questions, so now I'm actually staring at the screen. So if you have something specific, I would be glad to take some time and just kind of answer whatever questions you have. Kind of open mic night, right? So Jay Jarrett says, you're awesome. Thank you. No, thank you. Bobby says, it's math. It really is. Justin says, you just described my frustration. Yes! Cool. Justin breakthrough coming right at you. I love it. I love it. I can tell you, I was kind of shaken because I was this excited you should have seen me in my workshop tonight when I figured this out. It just kind of all happened at we were just all of us talking. So I didn't figure it out on my own. We figured it out as a group, and I think I put the words to it. And it was just, I left there going, oh my God, I've got to share this with as many people as possible. Jan's asking, will this be on a podcast? I am recording the audio, so yes, I'll put it in a podcast, and it'll not make sense to anyone in the podcast land, but I'm certainly going to put it out there because I think it's that valuable. So Tanny says, thank you, a fantastic subject, it all makes sense. Yes, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are asking what double track, I tell you, I 100% understand the double tracking thing. I get it. I truly do. But it's also a little confusing because you're following two roadmaps, right? So you just got to be careful with it. Use it as a guide. Pick one that's your priority and stick with it. But anyway, so that's the game plan there. So, Lindsay says, you see my tracker, the amount of 0-point foods I eat. Yep. And when you first joined, that amount of food was fine because your body needed more calories. Now it doesn't need as many because you're awesome and you're rocking it. So, Bobby says double tracking defeats the purpose of WW. Agreed. Yep. So Gina says also don't forget the point range for blue dots. It's a way to watch the 0-point foods. Okay. Very cool. So that's the game plan. Alice says I missed the first part. Alice, you can rewatch this. It'll be in YouTube. It'll be in Twitter. It'll be on Facebook, and it's also on Instagram as well. So. Yes, but the summarization of, you guys have heard it 10 times now. So the summarize is you need as you have success, you need less points. That's why your point value go down, your weeklies go down, but nothing accounts for the quantity of 0-point foods you are eating. Nothing reduces that, and you are in charge for reducing your own intake of 0-point foods. If when you joined on day one, you were successful by having eggs for breakfast, fruit for lunch, chicken for dinner, at somewhere as you start having success, you're going to have to reduce the quantity of your 0-point foods. So anyway, that's the game plan there. Justin says, I'm going to email you a metabolic chemistry explanation as we speak. May help your thought process. Yep. So Susie on Instagram says, I don't have time to double track. I don't think any of us do, right? Tracking once is enough for me, and I'm not even real good at that. So yeah, double tracking, I want to eat like my family does. They just eat, they don't track any of it, and they're successful. So, Jan says, hi, just finished up my workshop. Woo, good to see you. Good for sure. I'd love to get back out to San Francisco. That would be so much fun. And so Keith says, I suppose the key is to track 0 points so you can honestly reduce your 0-point consumption. I agree with that, Keith. So what Keith is saying is start putting your 0-point items in your tracker so that you can start seeing if on day one, if you have 2 chicken breasts for dinner and that's working for you, on day 30, 40, 50, 60, 30 pounds down, and you start seeing 2 chicken breasts, you may need to reduce it down to 1. So very fun. All right, so, Hildy says, great insight as always. Yep. WW, we pay WW to do the math. Yep. So again, there is just nothing in the freestyle that reduces the 0-point items as your body size reduces and you start becoming healthier. That's what this whole episode is about, is that you have to now understand that as you are losing points, you then so here's what you need to do, right? Every time you lose a point or every time you lose a bank of weeklies, you then need to recalculate some 0-point items and take something out of there as well, or make a substitution, something, but you can't keep eating the same quantity of 0-point food you did on day one. That's the whole summary. Is you've got to reduce your food intake equivalent with your body weight. So, Connie says, I track everything. So very nice. That's the success. Tracking is certainly the key to success. So anyway, cool. So Mary, I always have a hard time saying it. Mary Malia. There we go. Whew. I had 23 and I've been on a plateau for 4 months. I've lost 12 pounds. 12 pounds is fantastic. So same thing. Just start looking at the quantity that you were eating in the beginning and start slowly reducing some of that, making the choices to do it. I get that's the hardest part of this, right? Is we now are in control of our own quantity, which is if we had the ability to control our own quantity, very few of us would have been here in the first place. I get that. But now you have a roadmap for understanding that what too much looks like there. Terry says, eat until you're satisfied, listen to your body. Terry, I agree with you. Very difficult for someone who doesn't have that internal clock. That was me. I was satisfied. I wasn't satisfied until I was hurting. And so I didn't understand satisfied. What I understood was over full. And so I would skip satisfied. Now I understand it, but it took me a long time to get here. Susie says non-starchy veggies should be the only 0-point foods. Yeah, I agree. Chicken and seafood, probably you can overdo it on chicken and seafood, right? Broccoli should always be 0 points. I agree. I agree. Broccoli always should be 0 because no one is overeating broccoli. Ever, I don't believe. I'm certainly not. So, Laura says maybe the way to figure it out is to double track for a couple of days and see how many 0-point items are there. So that's a solution for sure. So Martha says systematically reducing your 0 points is not part of the WW program. I wonder if WW corporate will mind you saying that. I don't know. If they do, then they certainly know how to get a hold of me. They have before. But what I'm trying to do is assist you in. It is unrealistic for you to believe that you can eat the same quantity of 0-point items that you could on day 1 as you could at your goal weight. It's just not. It is not possible. So the fact that the program doesn't account for it, I believe, in my unofficial opinion, is that that's where we're going to struggle. Is that we don't know how to systematically reduce the 0 side of it. Now, what you could do is completely reduce the point value and increase your 0 point, but very few of us do that, right? What we do is we keep eating the things we love and we substitute in with the 0 to make it work, and that's where we start stalling. So, again, Weight Watchers corporate, WW corporate, they know how to get a hold of me. So if this doesn't help people, then certainly do what's working for you, right? So Susie says, I'd bet WW corporate is listening now to great ideas. I hope they are, because here's what I want, right? I want you to be successful. I don't share this because I'm trying to scam you out of something, or I'm sharing this so that you become successful and you reach goal and you share it with everybody else. That's what this is all about. So, Helen says, my leader coach says the same thing. You are on par here. Nice. Very cool. And then let's see. Yeah, Laura's saying, WW should put the calories per day with the points too. It's there. And the macros, tracking macros is kind of fun. A lot of work. It really is. Gina says, not all calories are created equal. Right. 100-calorie apple, 100-calorie cookie, not at all the same thing. That's why for me, counting calories isn't a complete success, because if I come up at 10 o'clock at night, I look at my calorie budget and I say, oh, I have 100 calories left for the night. And you say, this apple's 100 calories, this cookie's 100 calories. I'm not eating an apple. I have 100 calories left over. I'm gonna go back to the cookie, which for me keeps me addicted to that sugar and that unhealthy food. The reason for the 0-point items is so that, when you get down to it, you do make the healthier choice of the 0-point apple versus the 6-point cookie. It's a no-brainer with that math. So the 0-point system has some merit. I believe if we take this last piece of advice and we systematically adjust our 0-point intake, whatever that means for you, whether you completely reduce them or you make different substitutions, but you have to account for what I'm going to end this with is that you cannot expect to eat the same quantity of 0 point foods on day 1 as you do at your goal day. It's too much food. It's too much food. It's perfect when you start, but as you lose weight, your body needs less food, and you need to account for that as you are killing it, doing well, and losing weight. So, very fun. Let's see if there's anything else before we wrap this up. Gina says, I'm eating so much more healthier on Freestyle than I was on Smart Points. I agree with that too, Gina. So there's a ton of merit behind this. There's a ton of people who are having great success on it. And my guess is those people have probably figured some of this out, at least mentally. So, we'll see. Kelly checks in from Sarasota. Good evening to you. Very nice. So, all right. On that note, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I just wanted to get that out there. So I wanted to share that with you. Hopefully it makes sense. If there's anything else, shoot it to me. You have my email, onair@fatdag.com. Shoot it in be a part of the podcast. I don't know if for those of you who are new, we now have the ability to take audio calls into the podcast. So certainly be a part of the show as that way as well. So, all right. Lindsay says, almost as exciting as the meeting was. The meeting tonight was awesome. I had the workshop. The workshop tonight was fantastic. I had a blast at tonight's workshop. Cheryl says, if we didn't need less food, points would never go down. Exactly. So that's the whole thing, is that your points go down for a reason, because you need less food. And so if you start on fire and you're doing great, you need to reduce all of your food, not just the points, food with points. That's what I'm getting at. So, cool. Deb says, thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Susie, you're welcome. It's good to see you. I know. Look, Susie, I'm wearing my watch. I always wear it. This is my favorite. Plug for Withings, right? So Susie's here. She's my favorite. Of all you people, Susie's my favorite. Kidding. But this step tracker is my favorite, because it doesn't scream step tracker, right? It tracks my steps. And there's a promo code, right? On fatdag.com, click on the Withings logo. It'll take you in there. There's a promo code DAG20. This is certainly an advertisement, because they take good care of me. But I want you guys to know that while you're here. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Withings logo, use the promo code, get yourself a step tracker, get yourself a scale, rock this program. Wanted to share that with you while Susie's here. Susie, you know, every time we're together, we're going to have fun. So, Glenda says, great dag shop. You're welcome. Lacey says, thanks for sharing. Mom is here. Hi, Mom. Jane says, will we be able to see the show later? Yes. It'll always stay on Facebook. It'll always stay in YouTube. So you can always find this episode on YouTube. Please share it, right? We only had a couple hundred people watching tonight out of the thousands and thousands who need this information. So what I want you to do is after I save this video on Facebook, please go share it with your audience, with your community. It's in YouTube. Take the link out of YouTube, share it, put it in Connect if you need to. I'm not allowed to put links in Connect, but if you want to put it out there, that would be great. But get this information out there. If you thought it was valuable, get the information out there, and let's let the world know. So that because what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to abandon a program that does work. I want you to figure out how to make it work for you, and go rock it. So. Very fun. Rockford, Illinois. Coletta checks in. Good evening to you. Keith says, Susie, right? You'll appreciate this. I was talking about my step tracker, and Keith says, and it tells time. That's right, Keith. It actually tells you. It's kind of like, hey, you know what? And this thing right here, you can make phone calls with it. You can talk to people on this. Hello? So, very fun. Speaking of which, let's see. I'm catching up on YouTube. Can he see our comments here on YouTube? Robin, yes, I can. So I can say, and let's see. I believe WW is all about getting people in the door to lose weight, but I don't feel as supported in maintenance. Robin, I understand that, and I don't have an excellent answer for you. But what I can tell you is, you being in that meeting room, sharing your success with the other people. You feed off each other and find that mutual success. But I understand where you're coming from. It's a conversation we probably should have offline, only because it's going to be a longer conversation, but I agree with you. Yes, I agree. Amy says, checking in late. Got it. Good evening to you. Amy, I forget now. Amy, will I see you in New York next week or this weekend? So, hope so. Mary says, glad to hear this. I was trying to understand your post earlier about a coach. Yeah, so Mary, so I'm listen, I'm trying everything to find success. I'm very happy with where I'm at, but I could take off 10 pounds and be just as happy. So I'm trying a couple different things, and my post today, one of the things I figured out is I found a food plan that's working for me currently, that I've taken hunger out of the equation. I have not been hungry in almost 2 weeks now at all, and so my food is just regimented, and that's teaching me a lot about this overeating thing that I'm used to doing. So when it comes time to share that, I will certainly share that with you. Linda's just joining us. Linda's saying, just here, what's the flaw? So Linda, I don't want to rehash it for everybody, but the gist is as you lose weight, you lose points, right? We all know that. And so now you have to find a way to reduce the quantity of 0-point items as well. The app doesn't do that for you. So you can't eat the same amount of 0-point items that you're eating as you started as you will when you get to goal weight. So somewhere between the day you start and the day you reach goal, you have to systematically reduce the amount of 0-point items that you eat if you need to find success. So this video will live on Facebook, it'll live on YouTube, it'll live on Twitter. Always come back and rewatch it from the very, 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 very beginning. So Amy says, no, can't get my 13-year-old daughter to go. Come on. My 17-year-old daughter will be there. My Megan will be there. Janine will be there. We'll have a ton of fun. So, Jan says, I've always had 23 points. So, Jan, and so, yeah, a lot of people, when they join, they're right, they do start at 23 points. So, there is some, you're going to have to make the same adjustments. You're going to have to then, as you start losing weight, you're going to have to, again, realize I need to reduce some of the 0-point items as I'm systematically losing, because you won't lose points when you start at 23. I get that. Yep. So, Denise says this information is a game changer. I believe so too. That's why I could not wait. I'm telling you, I was shaking before I decided to go live, because I was like, oh my God, this is going to be, I think, groundbreaking and earth shattering for those who are stuck in a significant weight loss and doing very well, and then all of a sudden plateaued. I think this will help break that up. So, very fun. So. Yep, Amy says, I'll ask again, but I'll tell her Megan and Janine will certainly be there. Yep. Karen says, dang, just now tuning in. It'll be waiting for the podcast. Again, it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. You can rewatch it at any point. But good to see you, Karen, for sure. So, all right, let's wrap it up. We're just rambling now for no reason, wasting your time, wasting your evening. I want you to go have success. I want you to be on fire. I want you to go rock it. That's why we're sharing this. So, So thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for joining in. We will certainly do another episode later. Probably not this week because we got a lot going on, but next week for sure we'll be back at it. So very fun. Amy says, totally agree with you, Fat Dag. Took me 6 months of frustration to figure that out. So good night, Susie. We'll see you in New York City coming right up on. I fly in Friday night, meeting all morning Saturday. Saturday night is mostly wide open, and then Sunday morning we're walking Central Park area. So we'll see you Sunday at 8 a.m., or we'll be in Chelsea Market around 10, and we'll stick around till about noon. So hopefully, if you can't get there at 8, which you should, but if you can't get there at 8, then certainly get to Chelsea Market by 10 and wait for us to show up. So Connie says, good night, thank you. Randy says, see you in New York City. Looking forward to it. I can't wait. Jan says, lights out. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my lights. Some of the lights went out, but we're good here. Oh, that light went out. I see. Got it. My overhead light burned out. Oh, well. Maybe it didn't get charged. Susie says, I need the walk. Me too. So, all right. On that note, let's get out of here. Thank you for being here. Thanks for all that you do. This list right here, I want to let you know, these people are those who've stepped up to donate to the podcast. You can do so at fatdag.com. Click on the Become a Patron link and get your name listed in here. It's as little as $1 a month. I appreciate that. All the money goes back into the podcast. We did our taxes this weekend, and the podcast was a losing venture. Thank you. It helped for my taxes, but it certainly didn't help for the paycheck, for the pocketbook. But all this money gets reinvested back into the podcast to make the whole thing work. So thank you for sure. Thanks for being here. Have a great night. I wish you all good focus. Bye-bye.